Hey everyone, it's Libby from maighstirtarot and Lena from Tarot Down Under. Welcome, 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 Lena. Absolute pleasure to have you here today.
How come we haven't done this before, Libby?
No, we haven't. Two Aussies, and I'll tell you what, the time zone.
Oh,
I'm not
awesome,
having
mate.
to do these
Mate.
calculations and getting an hour out either way and all the rest of it. So, absolute pleasure to have you along. For those that are new to Lena and I together, Lena is actually one of my teachers from way ago. Um, did the several week course with Lena online. Are you still holding those courses, Lena, at all? Those classes?
I
Or?
will be again
Yep.
this year
Yep.
if people want to get in touch. But I just want to say you were a very good student, Libby.
Thank you. Thank you. And all I can really remember, aside from the fact that Lena was a fabulous teacher, was that my Page of Swords was missing in my deck. And boy, oh boy, did I get in big trouble. That was a deck that was 25 years old. So goodness knows where that Page of Swords has ended up. So,
Yes, somewhere.
so thank you, Lena. Just want to absolutely, for those that are in the lower Queensland, northern New South Wales area, please know that we are sending our love, sending our strengths to you. Do what you need to do to stay safe. As Cyclone Alfred is hitting, we're waiting to get the tail whipping here, but it will be absolutely nothing about what you guys get further north. So please do what you need to do to stay safe and know that we are thinking of you, and don't hesitate to call out if you need help in any way. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, and that's where I grew up, Libby, right there. And so for American viewers, north of the equator, you have hurricanes. South of the equator, we have cyclones. So it's fully scary when they hit big time.
Oh, and this one's further south than they have ever recorded. I mean, human history recording, well, white man history recording in Australia, let's get that right, is only been 150, 200 years. But this is the furthest south that they have ever recorded a cyclone. So,
Well, I also think we're going to see much more extreme record-breaking weather everywhere. It's inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we're going to see more earthquakes. I have to think, that it's literally the earth is unstable at this point.
Yeah, she's desperately trying to rebalance herself. So,
Exactly.
earthquakes, weather events, all we can do is be prepared and go with it.
Yes.
And plant a tree.
And plant a tree. And in my day, the sole preparation was the shops would put up the corrugated iron over the windows and people would buy a slab of beer. That was cyclone proofing.
Yeah.
And we were told to go to the bathroom for some reason. No one ever did. But we
Yeah, I
were
think
told the bathroom's supposed to be the strongest and the safest. Really? They were just fibro houses. I think this was a fiction,
yeah. Yeah, I think the idea was you could hop in the bathtub if it got really, really desperate. I actually have a girlfriend that went through Cyclone Tracy up in Darwin.
Oh, Jesus.
And they took shelter in the Besser block. I'm not sure what they call that overseas, but the concrete block stairwell. And they
Yes.
were in there for, I think, 2 days with a 3-week-old baby.
Oh,
And when they came out, there was literally
nothing
nothing
left.
left.
Nothing left. Oh,
Yeah,
amazing.
and got evacuated very quickly because she had the 3-week-old baby. She got evacuated. Her husband had to find his own way further south. But, using T-shirts as nappies and, because that was basically all that was available. So yes, it does hit home a bit.
It does.
Okay, Lena, what do you want to have a chat about today?
Well, I think we have to, everyone is debriefing after that terrible speech. There was a boycott. I refused to watch it. I'm sure you did. Most people did.
Yep.
But you can see the worst bits of it, embedded in other people's videos. And it was his usual absolute lies. I think the Dems were a bit more disruptive in a good way.
Yeah, I was just horrified at the Republicans standing up and applauding at anything.
I know.
He could have said anything, and they were
Well,
standing
he
up.
does. And I think, but what
I
I've been
can't think
hearing,
of something bad enough that he would have said, because he already said it.
there's nothing more that could be worse than 100 things he said. And they're like performing seals,
Yeah. Yeah. And then he was saying, what was it about not being ruled by unelected whatevers? And there was, Musk sitting in this it was, yeah.
There's no consistency from 1 hour to the next.
No.
And I think now he's starting to flip-flop on the tariffs.
Oh, is he? Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
realise that. Yeah.
Oh, yes, because you can't let a day go by without reversing what you were talking about the day before. So the point is, big business doesn't like that insecurity of not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
And here's the hypocrisy of this week. If he does retract the tariffs, right, and he'll try and spin that, I bent them to my will, they did these things, so therefore I'll roll it back.
Yeah.
But he also told MAGA that's where all the money's coming from, the tariffs, remember?
Yeah.
So how do you square the circle at this stage with this man?
He sells as if the other country pays the tariffs, and they haven't twigged to the fact that no, the other country doesn't. I mean, what happened in Australia a couple of years back? Remember, Scotty from marketing, our absolute D-head of a prime minister back in the day, said something about China that China didn't like, so they whacked massive tariffs on certain Australian products.
Yeah.
Now, there was a little bit of adjustment period for the businesses. They did struggle, but for a short period of time, but then they went away and found other markets to send their goods to. So there was China sitting there with these massive tariffs, and Australia going, well, up yours, we'll go and sell our products to India, Vietnam, wherever else. And eventually, after a couple of years, China sort of went, oh, well, okay, we'll just remove them.
And I think we're seeing that this time too. His second term, first term, everyone was so freaked out, whether that was European leaders or the soybean tariff or whatever.
Yeah.
And now this time people are saying, no, we can't actually endure another 4 years of the chaos. So we're making other plans.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So they're just going elsewhere. And it has, I mean, in a good sense, it has forced the European Union to step up to the table. And actually, because in all honesty, because the white knight of the US has always sort of ridden in at the last minute and saved the day, it's caused a complacency amongst other conglomerates of power around the world. So what's happened is this chaos, which I am going to say is necessary to rebalance, first of all, world order, but also to expose the failings in the US governmental system as well. But it's recentering, and when I say failings, I'm talking about money in politics. I'm talking about the gerrymandering of voting, etc. All these failings that are being clearly revealed. And the fact that a convicted felon can become a president, who would have ever thought?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the US political system has relied on decency and honesty, rather than actual law.
Well, that's what I think we've seen over this last 7, 8 years, how much of the legal system in the US is really just a handshake deal.
Yeah.
You're supposed to react decently
Yeah.
to X, Y, and Z. And he blew all that out of the water.
Absolutely.
And the legal system hasn't been able to respond in a timely fashion.
Well, also, even though what's happening with the legal system with what he's doing. So, for example, USAID, the legal system have said, oh, no, you actually do have to keep this funding going, but no one's enforcing it.
Yes, exactly. But I think you've still got to keep these things coming before the courts.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so forth. But what doesn't get questioned too, these are existing contracts, whether it's with the farmers or USA. These are signed off contracts. The money has been organised when Congress was functioning, and it no longer is, really. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
So this is just breaking contracts. There's no lead time for anyone to adjust to it.
Absolutely. But I mean, we know Trump, felon 45, he never honours a contract.
No.
Just ask any of the subcontractors that work for him on any of his property development. He never honoured a contract. So this is just modus operandi.
An extension of his bad business practices.
Yeah, this is no different. I mean, he stopped the funding to Ukraine, and to put it in context as well, this is not monetary funding. This is supply of military equipment funding that was approved by Congress and therefore legally has to go ahead. But he's basically said, no, it's not going to happen, and it's stopped. Now, when I say military equipment funding, you've got to understand, this is old US military equipment that they've been sending to Ukraine, which is still best in the world. But it's stuff that was at its use-by date that the US was going to have to dismantle or destroy, so it can be replaced. So by sending it to Ukraine, they're actually saving the US the cost of dismantling and destroying it. And then their arms manufacturers, which were going to have to make new stuff anyhow, are making new stuff. So
it just doesn't add up to a functional nation state, let alone a world leader. So I think he's playing a very dicey game here because he's offended everybody. And so there's this assumption that everyone will crawl back on their knees to be in the good graces of the United States. And when you look at Canada, this goes beyond tariffs, the insults that were dropped on Canada, the 51st state stuff, referring to Trudeau as a governor, deliberately petty, vicious and provocative. Well, now Trudeau has been amazing, I think, in the last 6 weeks.
Absolutely. I think because he's been freed up.
He's freed up. He's not going for election again. He's bilingual. So he's gone to Europe and he's had conversations with the EU, and he has secured trade deals and security alliances that normally take 5 years and 7 years to negotiate. You know what I mean? He's done it in record time. So we are seeing a realignment.
And the US is finding itself, will find itself isolated as the rest of the world goes, okay, we can't trust the US. We can't rely on the US if they're going to break contracts with no warning, then we're just simply, even if tariffs come out, they're simply not going to trade with the US because they can't be trusted.
So I think, and we've all been saying a version of this in the sense of it's important not to go into your shell over this if you're in the USA, because every country has to evolve, and these are very uncomfortable spaces.
Yeah.
Like the America in the early days, first time round, broke away from the Mad King. Well, Pluto return, Mad King, right? So it
Just
can
Mad
be done.
King's in a different, he's in their ranks rather than being separate. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's important to remember that, and to remember the McCarthy era, which was horrendous. And the FBI were used to spy on people, and people's lives were ruined, et cetera, et cetera. But out of that came a new era, a less repressed America. Everything has its cycle and its time.
Yeah.
So I think my advice to people is stay strong and be the change you want to see.
Absolutely. This will pass. It's what you do to protect yourself if you're in the US between now and it passing. And I honestly feel like we are on this massively compressed timeline,
Isn't it?
where the Band-Aid has been ripped off, hair and all, rather than just quietly peeled, which is what would have happened if Harris had been installed rightfully. So this is Band-Aid ripping stuff, and that's why every day feels like a month. And
I know.
we're in this compressed timeline.
Exactly. It is happening so quickly. It could have dribbled on for 10 years, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I think MAGA, who are notoriously slow at working out who is really shafting them in every way, my generic prediction is that they're going to peel off issue by issue. Because they seem incapable of thinking, oh, that's really bad, what's happening over there, it might happen to me. They don't. They simply don't.
It literally has to be, face plant for them. Yeah.
So for us living in Australia, it's inconceivable that an asthma pump now costs $500 or whatever. I can't conceive of that stress on its own.
Yeah, an EpiPen in Australia, you actually get a 2-pack of EpiPens for $32.
Yeah.
2-pack.
Yeah.
Not the thousands that they're costing in the US. Yeah, we're like you. We're just absolutely inconceivable.
And so I think they will peel off, mainly through medical issues, you know. Because already Americans die of preventable illnesses, regardless, for the last however long, because of not having a health system that people can access fairly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And equitably.
Yeah,
I just found out. Sorry, go on.
My cleaner was supposed to come the other day, and so I wasn't going to do any videos because we're doing when she eventually comes, we're doing a massively deep house clean. It's been 4 years since the last one. It is clean, but it needs that deep.
Sure.
She tripped on her stairs on the way, so took herself off to A&E, emergency room, whatever you like to call it, to make sure it wasn't broken. It was just badly sprained. And I mentioned that to my viewers, and they were just like, holy shit. You know, you'd actually go to the hospital for what? And it costs nothing here. It's just, the concept is...
But the fairies don't pay it. It comes out of our taxes. That is why you pay taxes.
Yeah,
right?
we pay, I think it's 1.5%
5% Medicare levy.
Yep.
Okay, so whatever your income tax is for the year, there's an
Mm.
additional 1.5%, which is your Medicare levy.
Yep.
That's cradle to grave.
Yep.
Okay, it doesn't matter if you need 6 stents in your heart. It doesn't matter if you have a premature baby in hospital for 6 weeks. Doesn't matter what the situation is.
Yep.
Also, for those who earn more than $200,000 a year, they
Yep.
pay 2.5%.
Yep. Yep.
Now, Australians mightn't agree on everything,
Yep.
but I've never heard an Australian complain about Medicare.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a perfect system.
No, people will say we should have more nurses and we should and stuff, but I've never heard anyone, including rich people, say, "Oh, why should I pay for someone else's Medicare?" No,
Absolutely.
never heard it.
Absolutely. You rock up at hospital, and if you need treatment, you will get treatment. That's end of line. So,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. You might have to wait if it's a sprained ankle. Might have to wait till a doctor becomes available because they're dealing with the heart attack, car crash, stroke person
Absolutely.
that's been taken straight through. But you
But
still
you are triaged on arrival.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But you still get looked at. So
And I just can't imagine the stress, Libby, of being, particularly, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But any health event with any of your family can send you into having to sell your house.
I know.
The major cause of foreclosures on mortgages is medical.
It's insane. But getting back to the peeling away, I do also think if they start fiddling with Social Security, will be a huge one. And they are foreshadowing that they're going to fiddle. I mean,
well, more than foreshadowing, because
yeah.
what's left of Congress have just put through it. It's not a budget; it's a framework for a budget, and they, i.e., the GOP lawmakers,
Yeah.
have said they are going to slash $800 billion from Medicare. They've said it. It's not somewhere in the ether.
Yeah, but a lot of the MAGAs don't, or the Trumpsters, because there is a variation of them. There are a core group that will go to their graves kissing the hoof of the golden calf.
Yeah.
And they're a lost cause. Just forget them.
Yeah.
But there is another element that are the ones that will peel away. But they don't even know it necessarily as Medicaid, because each state calls it something different. And
exactly. And this is, I think, part of the big problem, which is the big disconnect.
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So they don't actually hear that. They're not following, Congress's latest ruling or something. And by the time it gets spun through the Fox machine or whatever, it comes out as an efficiency or a saving, not you actually have to look your mother in the eye and say, "I'm sorry, Mum, we cannot afford your insulin from this point." They're not actually putting it together.
No. Oh, they said they were going to get rid of Obamacare, but I didn't realize that
that was affordable healthcare.
It was affordable healthcare. No.
I know.
I know.
So let's ask ourselves the question: how can the Dems have more cut through?
Every time I ask that of my guides, I say, why are the Dems not stepping up? Why are they not? And they keep telling me, give them enough rope. Not give the Dems enough rope. Give the Republicans and Trump enough rope. And you don't need me to finish that quote, because otherwise we'll get the censors on us. But that's what I keep getting, is give them enough rope, because the only way a cult can actually be destroyed is from within. So us yelling from the outside, the Dems trying to bring forward this information from the outside, all that's doing is causing the ones that follow 45 and Fox and believe, hang on to every word they say, it just causes them to dig their heels in further. So I think actually the solution is to just leave them to it and protect ourselves. And I'm not talking about you and me, I'm talking about those in the
Our
US. And that
community.
unity, develop your community,
Yes.
seek out like-minded, even if they're not fully like-minded.
Yes. And I
You know,
think it can be small things.
yeah.
Like the cost of everything is going to go through the roof.
Mm,
Right.
mm,
So if you can, one of my viewers just said last night, she's asked the superintendent of their apartments if they can have a veggie garden on the roof.
yeah,
Why not?
yeah,
Can you form a cooperative either with your family and friends or in your geographic locale so you can shop in bulk, save a bit of money? Someone's got a garage space where you can get the big packets and boxes of
yeah,
things
and
and
divvy
you
them up.
sort it out. And you're also meeting people and supporting each other.
Oh, absolutely. And you don't ask what political bent they are at
No,
all, because what's
no,
happening is you are leading by
organically.
example of unity and community. But yeah, so bulk buying, community gardens, community pantries. If you can put a few extra cans in, do so. If you need to take a few
Yes.
extra cans out, do so. Don't feel don't be a martyr about any of it. You
Yeah.
have to, you know,
Yep.
if you go down to your local church kitchen once a week for a meal, and that means you save $5 or something, put that $5 aside for something that might crop up, like your electricity bill going up, or it might mean that you can help somebody else out down the
Mhm.
track. So don't martyr, plug into the community. Don't isolate yourself is
I
huge.
think that's the
Look
main
people.
thing. You are not on your own. Please
Absolutely.
ally yourself.
And look people in the eye and have small talk, because when you actually look them in the eye and talk with people, you are a person. You're
Mm.
not another.
Yes.
You're not, they're trying to divide by othering.
Mm.
Whereas if you actually have communication, you're not another.
Mm.
Yeah, if that
And
and also
also,
offer
I'm
to
a great
babysit if you
sorry.
offer to babysit if you can, to help somebody else out. You know, whatever it is, if you can't get out to the protests, get on your emails. I know that the representatives don't necessarily reply, but they do know that you are contacting them. So it's very much about doing what you can.
Yes, and I'm a great believer in volunteering as well,
Mm, mm,
because I think it's good for your soul
yep,
generally,
yep.
not to wear yourself out. You might volunteer 2 hours a week or 2 hours a month,
Mm,
whatever. So if you're a retired teacher,
yep,
for example, you could help one kid in your immediate neighbourhood
yep,
improving their literacy,
yeah,
right? If
yeah,
you can catch kids, particularly between 7 and 11,
yeah.
often it's boys falling through the cracks at that stage. We know in every prison system, 70 to 80% of inmates have either very poor literacy or what's called functional literacy.
Mm,
So you can change a child's life
mm, yeah,
by just giving your expertise
yeah.
for 90
And
minutes a week to that
what you
family.
might find is you start with that child, and their child will perhaps talk to their friends, and before you know it, you've got 3 or 4 children that
Absolutely.
you're helping. And that is never to be underestimated. Or something along the lines of, I know, I believe Meals on Wheels has been canned in the
Mm,
US.
shocking.
I mean, they weren't the best of meals to start with,
No,
but they
but
were something. if you can get together in a community and buy some bulk things like lentils and perhaps approach the supermarket and ask for fresh vegetables that might be getting towards the end of their sellable life but still good, rice, all those sorts of things, and cook up some nutritious meals and put them in the little plastic Chinese takeaway containers or something, and give them out to people to put in their freezers for when they need a meal. I mean, what would that cost? 50 cents 50 cents a meal or something.
So pay attention to who's in your immediate area.
Yeah.
Because how the world has moved, this isn't just the US, it's Australia too.
Yeah.
High density living and so forth. So our idea of a good neighbour now is someone you never hear and preferably don't see more than a wave once a week, right? We've got sucked into that too.
Yeah.
In terms of, so we're in a rather weird place in the sense that in high density living, we can share a roof with people we don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we, so this is, very much about starting community, and that can come from hobbies as well. So, for example, if you like doing a bit of painting or something, start up a painting group, like a book group. What do they call them? Book club.
Book clubs. But also, you've probably got more stuff lying around than you're aware of. Like, how many people have gym equipment that they use once or not at all, or whatever? Okay.
In my spare room, yes.
So there might be someone else in your neighbourhood who could use that. It's the same with art supplies. Even art supplies are expensive. So if you bought a lot of things and there's someone there who can't afford to buy some paint. So think about people around you. It's not going to work each and every time, but you might be surprised.
Yeah. And it's also about passing forward. So if you're offering something up, don't expect something in return.
No.
Know that person will pass on whatever they can, and eventually it'll come around and you'll get something that you need, and you'll go, oh, that was lovely of them, and then don't feel obliged that you have to pass it back.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be this reciprocal thing, me to you, you to me. Trust that principle. I'm glad you've brought it up. By just being giving, things do come to you.
Yes.
So in my neighbourhood, because it used to be after the war, Greeks, Italians and Maltese, now it's infinitely more diverse. But all the olive trees in my neighbourhood are substantial, right?
Yeah.
So every year our council has a system. If you go and pick a bucket of it, so you have participating houses, you ask, the person, are you participating? Or they'll put a sign out. You pick a bucket of olives. You then take it to the community garden down the road. They press your olive oil for nothing, and you bring your own bottle and you get your litre of olive oil.
Of olive oil? Holy crap.
Or 5 litres of olive oil. And it's great. You see 6-year-olds being taken by their parents to pick olives and take it to be pressed. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I came home. I mean, my viewers will know that I spent 4 months in New Zealand looking after my mum while she was going through chemo, and she's doing brilliantly. Thank you, everybody, for all your love. Came home to my vegetable garden full of parsnips. And, because normally if I'm home, I'd pull, 2 or 3 and would have them for dinner. And a couple of nights later, I'd pull 2 or 3. Well, they were all really, really ready. So I just pulled them all, put a box out the front of the house, put up on the community page, come and get them. Here's the address, come and get them. And within the hour, the whole lot gone.
Exactly. So it happens here with lemons, persimmons, all sorts of things, lines,
Yep.
boxes, people just put them out.
Yep.
And I love that. And people will put out little pot plants.
Yeah.
Please just take.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
And that's what to get through what is happening, we need to do is we need to reconnect with community. Those in our community understand that giving does not mean we have to receive, and it's about compassion and unity. And don't ask what political bent they are,
No, it's not about that.
because if you are being the inspiration, you'll find that they will start questioning what they're being told. So, and it is, as you say, it is bigger than the US. And what we are doing is seeing a geopolitical shift in the world at the same time as well, which is not a bad thing.
Yes, exactly. Long overdue in many ways.
Oh, absolutely. So,
And I think I'm just jumping here, but
yeah.
meanness in politics, just the sheer meanness. Now, in the UK, Keir Starmer, who's now the Prime Minister of the UK, he's Labour, which is the equivalent of the Dems for US viewers.
Yeah.
His first act of Parliament was to cut the subsidy for old people for heating.
Yeah.
What
Yep.
on earth possessed him? It's like most places, it's older voters who are the reliable voters, right? So first of all, they're never going to vote Labor again, even if they've voted Labor all their lives, because it was such what we would call a dog act. Mind-bending. Now he's standing up now about Ukraine and other things, but he will forever be tarnished by that act of meanness.
Oh, just despicable.
And it's like this is what the chainsaw wielding guy and others are doing. It's gratuitous meanness.
Oh,
Not
for those that don't have a voice enough to actually argue back. It's almost like they're disposable, dispensable. We don't need them. So we'll just
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
I
really
guess what
worried
I'm trying to say is your individual acts of kindness all add up and help offset this institutional meanness. Because people who are impacted by that, it can soften their world and give them faith back in people for just a kind gesture.
Yeah, the greater good, absolutely. And while we get through this period, I mean, I really worry about our Australian elections coming up because,
Me
we
too.
have our current opposition party leader is very much Trump aligned. I call him Timu Trump because he's just a nasty piece of.
Or Voldemort, yes.
Oh, I mean, this is the guy that spent $12 million of taxpayers' money to reopen a detention centre on Christmas Island to send a young family of 4, the Billawheeler family, into detention to make a point. This is a family that were working in their community, that were loved by the community. The kids went to
Really
school in
integrated
the
into that
community. And he wanted to make a point about undocumented immigrants. They had applied and applied and applied, and their 2 children had been born in Australia, and he kept knocking them back. He kept knocking them back, their application. And to make a point, he spent $12 million sticking them in a detention centre.
Yeah. And to a town, Billawheeler is a very small town, and $12 million would have made a real difference to that town.
It would have been the GDP for about 4 years of that town.
Yes.
So this is the opposition leader who is following the false spouting, lying, manipulating path that sadly there's a portion of Australians that are falling for it as well.
And we can only hope globally
yeah,
that, because everywhere was lurching to the right. Canada was really struggling with
yeah,
Maple MAGA and stuff.
and
Well,
Germany, yeah,
and Germany and Holland, everywhere.
yeah,
And now let's hope they're looking, because none of the far right ever have a policy about anything. They
no,
just run on hate
yeah,
and venom
yeah,
and emotion, and generally. They've never got an economic plan or anything. So I hope this is a wake-up call to many, again, like Maggie. You're not going to get the far ones, but there's a lot of people who drift into these movements because they offer simple explanations.
Three-word slogans, yeah, pretty much. Because to actually explain decent policy, honest policy, and truth actually takes an explanation. And we seem to have slipped into this no attention span reality. And so they're wanting the 3 second easy. Like I watched something the other day where there was a young lady who was struggling to fall pregnant, and she fell into the Trump promised free IVF, so I voted for him. Well, she's lost her national parks job and found out that IVF isn't going to be free after all. So they are waking up, and each section has a line that is the line that needs to be crossed before they actually wake up.
Exactly. And I just hope, Libby, that it's like ice in a glass. Right? It takes ages for that first one to melt, and then it gets faster and faster and faster and faster. So because we're in this bizarre accordion of time, I think it is going to happen quite quickly.
Oh, I used the analogy the other day in one of my readings that if it had been over an extended point of time that these policies had been enacted, over the 4 years, then we would have just adjusted with the change and got used to it, and the frog in the pot type thing. What it feels like at the moment is the pot with the frogs in it has been put on a blast furnace.
Absolutely.
So these frogs they are going to be jumping out.
Yep. And they're not going to be happy. No. So with these town halls too, I think GOP candidates are going to stop having them because they're too high risk for them.
Right? I think the order's already gone out to stop having them.
Yeah. So a viewer sent to me, which I think is really good plan. If in your district they stop having a town hall, you can organise, have one yourselves, have someone chairing it, film it, let out your complaints, film it, and then put it up on safe social media sites and stuff. And certain ones will gather momentum in the social media space. So not to give up on town halls.
Oh, absolutely. Well, apparently they're having massive protests over in the US, but
legacy media is not showing it.
No. So film your protests and send them off to the alternate media. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
but I think there will be. Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
Well, I was going to say momentum towards the summer. I think it's going to be a memorable summer in the US.
Yes. So the big thing is to take heart. Look, if it means, I keep saying, make a list of what you can do to protect yourself and keep yourself safe, and put on the most outrageous, bizarre suggestions on that list. Because I don't think anything's going to be outrageous and bizarre. And you might find that you actually get, if you've made a list and you know that there are specific things you can do, you can let go of the worry.
Yes, I think that's
so
so important.
oh, absolutely. So if it's something like taking in a boarder or renting out your house and becoming a boarder somewhere else, or renting out your house and moving to somewhere that's cheaper, or if you have a garage sale and put that money under the under the mattress type thing, or if you have a car but you can catch public transport, perhaps you might look at selling the car, because cars are expensive to run,
Exactly.
not just the gas, but the insurance and the registration and everything like that. Doesn't matter how bizarre it is, or, go down to the food kitchen and get, 3 meals and put them in the freezer so that your grocery bill, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't be too high and mighty. Don't be a martyr. And nothing, I think at the moment, nothing is off the table.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and then you can let the worry go and then concentrate on your own life, because there's no point in worrying on anything that you cannot actually influence, and you can't actually take action on. It's just, I think, it's like sitting in a rocking chair. If you're worrying about, look at
Yes,
that
so have
wobble,
your
that's a bit
own
sad,
little
isn't it? I need to
actions.
get on that gym equipment.
Yes, get on that rowing machine, doll.
But, there's no point, if you can protest, protest. If you can't, let it go. Didn't you love them on with,
Oh, yeah, with JD Vance. This is what's important. Absolutely what's important. Oh, it was delicious, wasn't it?
oh, oh,
So that's the thing. If you can't, because of mobility issues or whatever,
yep,
that you can't actually protest, what you can do is share images of that protest far and wide. We can all do something ongoingly,
yeah,
because everything in history and in life is
yeah,
about momentum.
yeah,
So if your momentum stalls through fear and anxiety and stuff,
yep,
you're blocking your own energies. And
yeah,
so you need to get them flowing again.
yeah,
No.
yeah, absolutely. And was brought to my attention, actually. My books arrived today, The Fourth Turning, with the new stuff in it as well, um, about the shifting of the eras. I don't know if you've heard about the fourth turning, the 80 years that sort of
Yes,
split
yes.
up into 20-year lots.
Yeah.
And we are in that fourth
Fourth
era
turn.
where it
Mm.
is the destruction of what was to begin the rebuilding of what can be, and what can be is absolutely fabulous. And I haven't even read the book, but understanding the concept. The last one was sort of World War II, which no World War III, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I don't honestly feel that we will
No, I don't either.
end up in that
Mm.
situation. I think it's going to come to a climax and implode within before we actually get to that stage. But post World War II was very much about a move to material wealth,
Mm.
and how do I put this? The getting to the house in the suburbs and the car in the driveway,
Mm.
and and it was then about the jobs for women, etc. I think this turning actually is going to be we've done the material wealth one, and we've
Yeah.
had advantage of it, and we're still in that, and it's not going to go away. But I feel we're actually
You
moving
can
into,
see the limitations of it now.
oh,
People are
absolutely. But I think
leaving.
this next turning is a turning into spiritual wealth,
Yes.
is my feels. I'm not sure what you think about that. And that comes back to compassion and empathy as well, but also lift vibration. I mean, I know it all sounds woo-woo and all the rest of it, but I honestly feel you only have to look. I mean, how the YouTube channels of yourself and myself and other readers that are way better than me are doing fabulously around the world. They've got a,
And the independent podcasters too, like Midas Touch and
yep,
Legal AF and Adam Mockler and all of those, they are working really hard to keep generating information and news that people can trust, you know.
Yeah.
So I think things can only grow from here. And to understand we're part of a collective, whether you think you are or not, whether you think you don't even like the idea of that, you just want to close your door and think, I'm all right, I'm an individual. No, we're not all right. We need other people.
Yeah, but whether it's an online collective combined with physical, very much about, you know, finding your tribe wherever they may be. So this digital world's pretty good in a lot of ways. It's terrible
amazing,
in other
isn't
ways,
it?
but it's absolutely fabulous. But yeah, I do feel people are seeking the space that used to be filled by religion in the churches that has now been shown to be flawed, because that was a seeking externally.
It's what you were saying about the third turn, which was the post-World War II thing, which was suburbs were generally considered safe spaces. And kids roamed. You know, we all roamed after school. We weren't in the suburbs, but we were.
You knew to stay away from that house, but we still roamed.
Exactly. Everyone would know who was the sleazy old guy with the blue door down the road and kids had freedom in a way the modern child doesn't. Like, they're taken to ballet and taken to soccer and taken to swimming lessons and being extended in every way. But they don't get to just lie on their backs and stare at the clouds, you know,
sit on the wall and swing their feet. So.
Yes. So it's important that we reinvent community in a way that works, that's safe in the modern world, right? That it's safe. And so just communicate with people.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of lessons being learned at the moment on all levels, I think, of society. And still a ways to go, but I think we will get there. Grit the teeth. Do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. Lena and I are always here for a chat. Or chat amongst yourselves. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm not pushing it or anything, but I put up a closed group Facebook page because all I do is basically let people in. You have to actually pass the threshold to get in. But I'm not really on there. It's not for me. It's for the viewers to find each other. Now, I know a lot of people aren't on Facebook because old Facebook and Zuckerberg, and I totally get that. Although the feed gets pretty good when you get rid of all the, you can click a little X up in the corner to say, I don't want to see this sort of stuff. So it ends up full of, gardening stuff and dog videos.
Yes, right.
But it's a closed group and it's not for me to get on there and, lead it. It's for those that have joined.
That's a nice idea.
Yeah, to find each other, because you can do a search option and, people can then put in their general area. I'm saying don't put on any personal information, but you can search for people that have posted for a state or a town in a state or something like that. And then they can private message amongst each other.
Great. That's
to find each other. Yeah, so you can then, because so many people say, oh, I'm a blue dot in the red area. Well, here's the opportunity for you to find other blue dots.
Yeah, and I think there are more blue dots than admit to being blue dots, because I think for many people, if you're in those hardcore red states, it is very difficult to be a blue dot for sure, because you're either married to a MAGA or you work for everyone, or everyone seems to be in this particular.
And it's not safe for them to say that
so it's really good to find each other.
Yeah. So that's what we're about, Lena and I. We're going to push this
Swindle
one
up.
to tribe. So absolutely. So is there anything else you want to chat about, Lena? Because we have nearly been an hour, and where the hell did that go?
I know, we were heading out for half an hour, and here we are coming up for the hour. We have to do it again too.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yes, my thing is to people generally, stay strong, take time out from everything, whether that's 20 minutes a day or a half day a week. What works for your work-life balance, right?
Yeah.
Take some time out so you've got the energy to go forward.
Because you can't give if you haven't got.
If you're a depleted well, you cannot
You've got
give.
to fill your inner bank before
Yes.
you have enough to be able to give. And turn off mainstream media. I watch our local news because where we are, we're a large town. And the local news is actually really, really good. They talk about local stuff.
And it's really important to be plugged into local news. Yeah.
And it's important. But I noticed when we were building the house, we didn't have the aerial on. So I was watching online the Sydney news. It was horrible. It was
car
almost
crashes and stabbings and the whole drama city of everything.
It was like they were seeking out the worst, darkest shite that they could come up with for their news. So it was really, really horrible. So turn off the mainstream media. And if you want to, I always say, be aware. So it's important to be. I find if you do it in a printed format. Now I'm not talking newspaper printed.
I totally agree.
I'm talking online printed. Because then you're not getting the clickbait, emotional opinion, repeat over and over.
Your news.
Yes.
It's a really good way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, they're not the greatest, there's no perfect place, but AP News, I actually find BBC quite good for reading, not for watching. The BBC, the UK one for your international stuff. Al Jazeera, look, even CNN for their reading is actually completely different to their visual.
Yes. And also there's Alternate, Daily Beast, a lot of really good outlets to consume just the basics for the day. It's less taxing on you.
Absolutely.
Because it's important not to put your head in the sand at this time. It's important to stay across it, but not every issue every day. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And I want to put out, for those that haven't come across it, the website 5050.1. So fully written out, FIFTY.1, ONE. Yeah, they have a lot of resources, but they're also they let you know what's going on in your area in regards to town halls and protests and things like that. So
so it's 50 states, one movement, basically, is the formula.
Yeah. So it's 5050.1 in full. So check them out as well. Okay, Lena.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Where on earth did that Band-Aid ripping hour go?
I don't talk about Band-Aids. I've had this, burnt off my cheek.
I know, but
it's my first day without a Band-Aid.
Oh, but hey, look, what a great health system we have. I'm going to put it out there and said, I did my bowel test the other day.
It's important, which of course is free.
Yep. Arrives in the post every 2 years, free bowel testing, and every 2 years, free mammogram.
Yes.
Because I'm over 50. So, what's not, because the government has worked out it's actually cheaper.
Preventive healthcare is cheaper.
Cheaper to be preventative or catch early than to try and treat in the late stages. So, gotta love it. Okay, Lena, look after yourself. I'm just going to squiggle over here because I
Yes,
had
see
to
if you
borrow
can
my
turn us
daughter's.
off. We might be here for 2 days.
I know, but I also had to borrow my daughter's screen to record because my old Android one was. I'm Generation X, I'm straddling. Okay, Lena, love to you. Take
Ciao.
care. Bye-bye. I am going to